Cue the missing intro music. There is none. It's missing. So here we go. We have what I've been waiting for. This has been on pre-order for a while and it has finally shown up, and that is the Vandy Vape Mesh RTA. And I'm kind of excited. I've noticed that with the Vandy Vape stuff, they all have this same little pull strip. I don't know, it's weird to me, but it's fine. It just reminds me of like opening up a pack of cigarettes, which is, I don't know, some people might like it and other people might make them feel weird, but screw it. And let's check it out. We have a little sticker on the bottom. These things always get me. I'm surprised I didn't try to pull it open first, but I live a red life. Everything's red. Let's check this bad boy out. Go straight for the gusto. And we've got a nice we've got a cool, nice little compact tank. It did come with this red acrylic tip. I think that's awesome. Fits pretty good. There's no O-ring on it, so the O-rings here, it looks like your standard 810 will fit and you won't have any issues. The one thing I do notice, it is kind of shallow, so maybe some drip tips that are longer, you might have an issue with them sitting flush, but overall it'll be all right. This is a slide out. There's a little bit, there's a little thing that says push right here. You can see that. And so we'll push. Oh, check that out. It slides right open. Now, looking at this gasket, I can already tell I'm not a huge fan of it. But we'll see how it holds up. And the only reason I'm not a fan of it is, like, I can see it's already kind of droopy right here. It would be nice if it was back, but maybe you get some juice on it, it'll go into its home. So let's open this thing up. Look at that. That was pretty simple. We have our deck, and it looks reminiscent of the Cthulhu, if that's how you say it. It does have some nice clamp bars here, which I believe will be pretty nice. And then the juice flow here around the bottom. And again, it doesn't come around the back because it doesn't need to. Get a close-up look at this deck. It's all right. Our glass. This, if you notice, this whole area here where the coil goes, it's huge. So this tank, the capacity is cut down. With this glass here, it is a 2 milliliter tank, which may or may not be good. You can also see that the airflow, that's one thing I didn't mention. This tank is a top airflow design. So your airflow is on top, of course, because it's top airflow. I mean, that's about that. I don't know how else this would come apart up top, but you can see where your airflow does come in through the sides. The one thing I was kind of nervous about is airflow. I do like an airy vape. Not necessarily airy, but I like a lot of volume. So with that being wide open, I can already tell this is more restricted than I like. It's as far as airflow goes, I'd say it's closer to like maybe the Baby Beast. But not like a wide open airflow, which will help with that small amount of juice that this can carry. If this had airflow like the TFV8 or any other like super mega tanks, you would blow through this so fast. But we'll see how it vapes. Let's get to that point. Let's see what else we have in the box. Oh, that was kind of neat. So we have the upgraded 4 milliliter bubble glass. We do only have one, and you can definitely see the difference. And then we have extra screws, a 510 adapter, and gaskets. Looks like we have the tank seals and just a couple bonus gaskets. And I thought it was kind of cool. I haven't seen really too many tanks coming with 3 drip tips. So this one comes with your acrylic. It comes with an Ultim, or however you say it, but it comes with this style drip tip. And it also comes with this shorty knurled drip tip. I think that's like pretty cool. And our answer is Phillips. We have a Phillips Little Blue. Add that to the pile. This does come with apparently a book, and if it's anything like the other one, it's going to be not enough information in 90 languages. So we have English, French, German, Danish, Russian, Spanish, Italian, Greek. Bam, that's our instructions. I was gonna say I don't understand what that means. I'm on the wrong page. Let's flip it over. So this tells us what we have in here. It looks like your standard instructions, which will leave you a lot to be desired. There's nothing to tell you how to wick it. There's not enough information. I can't really give you. This means nothing to me. I'll crumple it up and throw it away because this thing is trash. And I'll fold it ever so gently in the process. So here we go. We have our mesh. I thought that this would have been wider, honestly. Huh. But this is what we got. So this is 0.42 ohm, whatever, by 6 millimeter, 0.57. Okay, so I do love the TFV8. That's my go-to. I love the airflow on it. People complain about the coils, but if you watch my coil video, this is actually the same coil in here 3 weeks later now. Alright, so we have the Revenger here. We've got some battle scars on it. It's starting to break in. It's kind of exciting. Put this on, and overall I say it looks pretty good. Oh, let's shut our mod off and let's try getting a little bit of a build in on here. From what I've seen and followed up with the Vandy Vape Mesh RTA, what we're going to need to do is pack some cotton in this thing. With my experience with other RTAs, I know you're going to want to have these juice holes just covered but not plugged. Well, they really tighten these things down. Oh man. I have to bust out my multi-tool here that I love a lot because these screws are too tight. Lower resistance mesh and this little handy dandy thing. I'm going to take a hunk of cotton bacon, I'm going to trim a little bit out of it. Maybe this will be the perfect way to tell, but I'm going to take, yeah, screw it. So I have just enough cotton here where it fits like kind of snugly through this drip tip, but it's not too loose. I'm going to trim it flat on one side and then I'm going to leave it up a little bit here. Since the airflow comes in the way it does and out through the top, you don't want your cotton too high. And actually, you're not going to want your cotton above the height of your posts. If you do that, you're going to cut off all your airflow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with the mesh. I'm going to put it in and then tighten it up. And whenever I'm doing this, I do want to make sure that it's straight and like perpendicular. So if I follow the line, of this tank here, I want it to come straight out. One thing I do notice here is I snug the bottom, snug the top, but if I wiggle it, if I take this and I wiggle it, that mesh is still loose on the bottom. So you're going to need to make sure you tighten these top and bottom evenly to make sure that this mesh is clamped and secured. If you don't do that, where you leave this top tight or the bottom tight and the bottom loose, top loose, you're going to have an uneven connection and you're going to get a weird heat pattern through it. Just for fun, I'm going to see how this thing glows? And see what it ohms out at actually. Okay, so we got it at 25 watts. If you go all the way edge to edge, it's ohming out at 0.35. If you run a shorter mesh, like here, like if you shorten this up and make your loop smaller, see now it's a 0.26. The length of your mesh is going to change your resistance, just like any wire would, but this is way more immediate. That heats up really fast. Let's turn the light down a little bit here. That's heating fast and evenly. You can see how this side we made sure this was clamped evenly top to bottom, and then this line is straight, our burn line. This side we just put it in there and we didn't check. But you can see how this burns down and swoops. That bottom one was a little bit loose. Now you can see that burn line is creeping more in to being more vertical. Anyway, that was fun. Let's wick it. Okay, I have zero experience wicking this. I will tell you that right now. But we'll learn together. How I'm going to do this is take the mesh, take our little cotton chunk that we have. I'm going to drop the cotton chunk in. And again, I'm trying to push it down against the base of the deck. Whenever I'm doing that, I'm also kind of fluffing it out a little bit. And then I'm tucking this in through. I'm just snugging this so I can get a better grip. Alright, so now this is in there. It wiggles around a little bit, but let's try to pull this a little bit snug. One thing I have seen with mesh is you want this cotton in here tight against the mesh. If it's not, you'll get a hot spot. So being able to pull this through is a pretty big advantage compared to the RTA, because we can actually get to it. And then let's snug it up evenly. Going just till I feel a little resistance on the bottom, a little resistance on the top. There we go. I'm going to push the cotton down. Again, we want to make sure that this ring area for our little juice well is just has cotton covering all of it. Also, you want to make sure where, even back in this corner here, that you have cotton in touching everywhere. If you have a little spot where you don't have cotton touching that mesh, when it heats up, you're going to get a little bit of a hot spot. All right. From here, I'm going to cut it at the top. I'm going to give a little bit of a haircut. And then you also want to trim this mesh. These scissors are garbage. But you want to trim this mesh close, so one, it can't short to the other side, and two, it can't short from here to the little barrel. Let's juice this thing up. Today I'm using Irish Lass from Red Cap. This is my product placement. This is how I make my money. This is how I bought this tank. Red Cap is fantastic. I love it. I make it. It's delicious. Can't say enough about it. But the best part about it is this is my all day, and it's been that way for 2 years, so I know what it's supposed to taste like. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just start to juice on this mesh. I'm going to give it a little bit of heat. I'm going to just keep doing this until it soaks and saturates this cotton. We can see that dripping just from the front here onto the coil while pulsing it and heating it up. It's saturated that cotton completely. Even down here where it looks like it's a little bit fuzzy, that's saturated. So this is what at 25 watts. It's a little light, but let's turn it up to 50 watts. 50. I'm kind of holding it and blowing some air across it. A little bit longer than I normally would. On like a traditional coil, but holding it longer like that is going to allow me to see if I get any areas lighting up, you know, any spots where there isn't cotton or any hot spots. So I'm actually very confident right there that we're going to be in really good shape. So let's put this thing back together. I'm not even going to mess around with the the regular glass. I do have the bubble glass, and I can feel it's not very smooth in the bubble, but it's not dirt. It's just glass, like glass specks from them making it. All right, so we have glass tank, snug that up. Again, snug. Look at that. It's backwards, but it lines up. But it's a reminder, the golden rule. Snug is all you need for anything vape. You don't need to crank it down. All right, we're going for the glory though. So we got a brand new tank. Never built this before. Brand new design. No guide on wicking, anything like this, and we're going to just fill it up and let her go. So at 50 watts, let's check it out. All right, like I said, airflow, airflow, airflow. It's not a Cloud King, I'll tell you that right now. You're not gonna blow giant clouds with this, which might be great. At 50 watts, it is warm. It's not hot. The flavor is really good. The strawberry is actually really, it's really popping on this. It sounds airy. I don't know if you can hear it, but it doesn't sound like every other vape. It's baby clouds. We'll take it to 65 watt. Yeah, little clouds. This is not a cloud chasing tank at all. But honestly, that flavor is really good. It's way better than I expected. So yeah, what we'll do is we're gonna let this sit for a little bit, see if it starts to wick, and see if it wicks properly. All right, so the wrap up here. We have the Vandy Vape Mesh RTA. This tank is not what I hoped for. It's not bad, but I can't, it's too restrictive for me. I end up choking out on it. If I worked and used it for a couple of days, I would definitely be able to get used to it. Not an issue. Just right now, I'm struggling. Plus, at the end of the day, it's not it's not the vape level that I wish I had, you know. So I'll give you a couple little baby clouds, you know. It's not very dense, not very thick, not huge, but the flavor, man, the flavor is on point. This is probably the most flavorful build I've ever had. I can't really say much about it. I can't use Baby Beast tanks either because they don't have enough airflow. a lot of the other tanks that are, you know, the smaller tanks, you know, they don't have enough airflow for me. That being said, the airflow on this is very restrictive. It is the same amount of airflow on the Goon. If you have a Goon laying around and you kind of want to check it out, if you close off, if you go to single coil mode and you close off all but one air hole, it's a very comparable draw. Very tight. Same here. Very tight draw. You can see that cloud. Same cloud. Airflow is not enough for me. I prefer like wide open or 4 holes open. That's kind of how I live. You know, I vape at a higher wattage. This is not a high wattage tank, but it is pretty cool. I will say I'm not a fan of the gasket. It's got this little gasket in here. You've seen them around on all the other top fill tanks. This one looks like it might have an issue just because it's deformed. My personal one, this one is deformed. But I'm not experiencing any leaking. It is wicking just fine. The flavor is 10 out of 10, maybe 11 out of 10. I don't know. I don't know. I've been vaping this for 2 years all day, and there's a strawberry note that comes out that I've not experienced before. That's impressive. I would say if you're a mouth to lung vapor, you can close the airflow off on this and you can definitely get a mouth to lung hit. You're not going to have issues with that. Again, I can't do it. I can't do it. So for me, pretty disappointed in this tank. I wanted something that would replace my TFV8 and be mesh and sweet and easy to wick and all that stuff, but it's just not. It's not for me. If you have a baby beast and you wish it was rebuildable, or another small tank and you wish it was rebuildable, this might be your thing to buy. It might be. It's super easy to build. It's really easy to wick. We went through all of that in this super long video. I'm sad, but hopefully this will help people who do pick this up. Maybe this was exactly what you're looking for, a nice tight airflow tank with tons of flavor. Yeah, until next time, guys, ladies, gentlemen, people, pets, play this shit on your TV and whatnot. Until next time. Oh, and don't forget to check us out at redcapjuice.com if you're ever interested in picking up a new all-day vape. You know, you order stuff online, half of it's bad anyway. Why not try something else that might be good? See you around.